कृपा भरौ भुवि भुव मारव अंतरकौ वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्रीजीव विचारणैक निपुणं सद्धर्म संस्थापकौ लोकानां हितकारिणं त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं करो विचारणैक निपुणं सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणं त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं विचारणैक निपुणं मन्नं शरणं करो विचारणैक निपुणं सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणं त्रिभुवने जय Yamuna Tiro Banachari Yamuna Tiro Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiro Banachari Yamuna Tiro Banachari Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Mahatma Mansa Paribhajagacharya Stakare Srimad SWAMI Jaya Ananda Kodi Vaishnava Jaya Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Jaya Names of the whole Sri Krishna Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Jaya Vrindavan Dham ki Jaya Navadvip Dham ki Jaya Ganga Maya ki Jaya Jamuna Maya ki Jaya Guru Dwarka Dham ki Jaya Swami Bhaktivinoda ki Jaya All glories to the All glories to the Thank you very much. Yamuna Tiro Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiro Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Udhar ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Ganga Maya ki jai, Jamuna Maya ki jai, Guru Dwarka Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivind ki jai, all glories to all glories to that. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Prabhu.
Haribo,
Is Maharaj there? I don't know.
I can't see him here.
So what to do?
Can't see him here. We wait for him 10 minutes. I think we have to insist anybody who wants to speak here should speak on our time and not whenever they want. I think that's the only thing to apply. If you can't speak in our time, there's no need because people are used to morning classes, evening one, people don't really come. And the person may not be there. It's austerity. The speaker also have to sacrifice and speak in our time. That's how I feel.
Okay. So I should play Prabhupada Hare Krishna?
Yeah, you can start playing something and see if it comes. If it doesn't come, then till tomorrow.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
There is this document in your folder. that tells you about the job description as to what you will be doing. So we want you to have an idea about the zone that you may be currently managing, your project, your temple, and see where you can bring that zone to. What's the potential? So the first question you need to ask, is there a future for the place that where you serve? And I guess the answer is an overwhelming yes, there is a future. If there is a future, what does it look like? If there is a future for ISKCON, there is a future for your zone. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. So then how can we prepare ourselves to embrace that future? So before we prepare ourselves to embrace the future, we have to see what the future looks like, what the future holds. What is the potential? I don't know how many of you spend an hour every day thinking about the future of your zone. How many of you spend at least an hour thinking about the future of the yatra or the project or temple that you serve? It's okay, that's very good. So, some people will call you strategic thinkers. You are thinking ahead. Others are just busy paying the bills, doing the service that you do, inspiring others. So, the GBC college training is organized in 5 modules. Just to give you an overview, these 5 modules are starting with spiritual excellence. Your sadhana, the lectures that you will hear from various sannyasis about how to be a Prabhupada Anuga, how to be a follower of Srila Prabhupada. Then the personal effectiveness. As a person, how can you be more effective? Things like how can you manage your time better? Some other things that you can do as a person better. I know you're doing great already, but there is room for improvement as we believe in continuous improvement. In Japanese, they call it Kaizen. So we have assembled certain tools that will help you perform your jobs better as an individual or make you a more effective person. And then we have relationship effectiveness. You work with many other devotees, many other temples, yatras, sometimes government agencies. So how can you be more effective in maintaining relationships, getting job done from these other people that you work with? Then organizational effectiveness. The organization. Organization is a collection of 2 or more people. So we all work in some organization or the other. So how can we make that organization more effective? And we have a series of courses in that. And finally, you have to comply with certain government regulations. You have to comply with Kuladri Prabhu's request to submit certain data. So compliance and administrative effectiveness. Now, this is just an overview. You will see this over and over again. We'll give you a whole list of things. We don't want to overwhelm you today. But our focus today is organizational effectiveness. And in that organizational effectiveness, we will talk about these topics: strategic planning, systems thinking, improving quality, and managing a project. How many of you are familiar with all these 4 topics? You heard of them at some point or the other. Okay, very good. How many of you know at least 3 of the 4? So those who know 4, they will also qualify for that. Okay. At least 1. Everybody's heard of at least 1 topic? Yes? Okay. That's encouraging. So talking about strategic planning, you heard of that word so many times. You might have your own perception about what it is or what it is not. Did Prabhupada do planning? Yes, obviously. Planning means thinking ahead. What would he think of us discussing the future of your zone, of your project or your temple? Prabhupada has comments on both sides about planning. Sometimes he says that people spend too much time doing planning and nothing comes out. There are meetings and meetings and nothing comes out of it. But on the other hand, he's also positive about planning. So, where is the mic? Let's start here and let's go around and read at least one quote from each slide. Let's start with you. No. And before you say, could you please also say your name and the region that you come from?
Tirthapala Nadas from Russia. This is wanted, not simply planning and talking. The world is suffering for want of right planning.
Okay. The world is suffering for want of right planning. So as I said, Prabhupada was not for doing too much planning and getting nothing out of it, and he wasn't for doing little planning. So there is a right amount of planning.
Bhakti Gaurav Narayan Swami, and John is Odisha. We may make our own various plans, but unless they are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, they will never be successful.
Thank you, Maharaj. Okay, let's go to...
If whatever we do, whatever we think, and whatever we plan is for the advancement of the Krishna consciousness movement, this is oneness.
That's a definition of oneness, ekatvam by Srila Prabhupada, and that purport, Srimad Bhagavatam. Whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we plan, if that's advancing Krishna consciousness, that's oneness. And if we do all these things for ourselves, what is that called? Sense gratification? Thank you, Prabhu. Okay?
Parabhaktidas, Italy. There is no difference between chanting for Krishna consciousness and working for Krishna consciousness. On the transcendental platform, they are one, but we must be guided by the spiritual master.
So planning is on the transcendental platform when it is done for Krishna.
Weeding out complacency. Krishna never said to Arjuna that you haven't got to fight, you sit down, I shall do everything. He never said that. You have to fight, and the result is already created by me, but you have to make a manifestation of fighting.
And everybody knows Radheshyam Prabhu from Pune. Okay. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada, he did not sit in Vrindavan and do his bhajan. He made a plan and he came overseas.
Just like our Krishna consciousness movement, within 8 or 10 years, we have developed so much. Is it humanly possible? It is Krishna's plan. But Krishna says that you go and preach. Take the credit. Yes, it is his plan. Actually, everything is done by Krishna. He gives the credit to his devotee. That is all. Kavi Kanapura Das from Nigeria.
Thank you, Prabhu. And Prabhupada did everything to please his spiritual master. He did not do it for himself. Thank you. And eventually to please Krishna.
Bhakti Jiradavandara Swami from Nigeria. We should always try to think of Krishna and try to plan how to please him, following in the footsteps of the great acharyas and the personal spiritual master.
Always try to think of Krishna. And we all know that verse, but Prabhupada has inserted and tried to plan to how to please him. Aniruddha Prabhu.
Yes, Krishna is in charge. Everyone should think that I am acting to satisfy Krishna. That's it. And you, immediately, you make that literature for outside propaganda, the aims and objects of what we want to do, and the plan, the entire plan.
So this should be our mood, Prabhupada is saying, when we are planning. And this slide is especially important for the exercise that we're going to do. Prabhupada is talking about you make that literature for outside propaganda.
So I went in USA without any sponsor. No, that is the one gentleman is sponsored for 1 month. 1 month only, not even 1 month. I remained there only 3 weeks, and then I chalked out my plan. He was my friend's son, and my friend wrote him that you sponsored Swamiji for 1 month. Umapati Das from Kenya.
And Prabhupada did planning even before going to the US. And when he went to the US, he observed Americans, and then he chalked out a plan how he was going to spread Krishna consciousness.
Rishi Kumara Das from Delhi and National Capital Region. Now something is in your hand, Krishna consciousness. That was my plan, that I shall carry this baggage and give it to the Americans and they will distribute. That was my plan. Therefore I came to America. So now you are so many boys, young boys, you have understood. So do it and give me relief. I remain in the background. Conversation, Los Angeles, 25th May 1972.
And if Prabhupada were to make this comment today, he will not only restrict it to Americans, he will refer to all of you from all over the world. Okay, let's go.
Hare Krishna. The bigger plan. Everyone should become a devotee of Krishna. That is the plan. That is the whole plan. Keshav Murari Das, ISKCON, Rohini.
Praneshwar Das from Indore. Disciple, Mayapur is the best farm. Prabhupada, yes, and it will be still better when our plan is made. Conversation 24th April 1976, Melbourne.
So you might be serving at the best temple that there can be. What Prabhupada is suggesting is that we can always improve, we can always make it better as an offering to our Guru Maharaj and to Krishna, to our Acharyas. So Prabhupada is referring to the continuous improvement.
Jagat Guru Gauranga Das, Bangladesh. Encourage devotees to plan. So in this way, you are all intelligent. You can plan. The aim is how to distribute books. That is first consideration.
For the in-class exercise that we're going to do, again, this slide is relevant. So Prabhupada is emphasizing on distributing books. That is the first consideration. Okay.
So now you all GBC make a plan how to introduce the books in every home. So we have got much work ahead. Don't think our business is finished. No. Simply very intelligent, we have to do it. Conversation, January 29th, 1977, Bhuvaneshwara. Devakinandan Das from Singapore.
Thank you, Prabhu. Another slide that will relate to our exercise subsequently.
Understanding Krishna's plans. Every plan is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but He is so kind and merciful to His devotees that He wants to give the credit to His devotees who carry out His plan according to His desire. Bhagavad Gita 11.34 purport. Bhakti Rasamrita Swami, Karnataka.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Understanding Krishna's plan. The plans of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are understood by His mercy, and the plans of the devotees are as good as His plans. One should follow such plans and be victorious in the struggle for existence. Narottam Das from Punjab.
Very powerful statement here. The plans of the devotees are as good as Krishna's plans.
The mood while executing the stage plan. I am just trying to organize a whole worldwide movement, not for any personal ambition, but the superior orders. Srila Prabhupada, letter to Jayapataka, 26 July 1970. Charuchandas, Bangladesh.
So to organize a worldwide movement, not for personal ambition.
Contemplating strategic planning. Everything has an original cause or seed. For any idea, program, plan, or device, there is first of all the contemplation of the plan, and that is called the Vija or seed. Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Madhya-lila 19, 152 purport. Bhakti Prem Swami, Ujjain.
So before we start the planning process, we have to contemplate. We have to plant this seed. We have to conceive as to what are we going to plan for. Okay?
Gopal Gurudas, New Zealand. Contemplating strategic planning. Garaj Swami writes, we remember Srila Prabhupada's last days with us and our last exchanges with him. Finally, Prabhupada asked me, do you think this movement will go on without me? I replied, as long as we're sincere and chant Hare Krishna and follow the regular principles, the movement will go on. Srila Prabhupada listened. Then again with great difficulty and ever so softly, Srila Prabhupada responded, organization and intelligence.
How many of you have heard of this conversation before? Wow, okay, wonderful. Okay, again, very powerful statement. It doesn't show the date, but this is towards the end of Prabhupada's manifest pastimes on this planet. Okay, so are we convinced? So now we're going to talk about what we just heard from Prabhupada, or what we heard from devotees, about what Prabhupada said. So we heard about how Prabhupada made this plan to come to the US to spread Krishna consciousness. So he did take a stock of where he was, what he had to offer. He said, I brought this baggage for you Americans. He also knew where he wanted to go. He had that vision in his mind. And he had a plan, so he knew how to get there. He did not do it blindly. First, in America, he started with the intelligentsia, meaning the intellectual people. When he was in Butler, Pennsylvania, he was meeting with this professor. He went to the university, to that college where he spoke. He tried, that didn't work out. He did not feel discouraged. Plans don't always work out. So he replanned, and he looked at the need, the gap, and he found these frustrated people, frustrated youth who were looking for something, who were seeking. And so he approached those hippies, and he modified his plan, and he executed that plan. Sometimes he made a plan, but he was not able to deliver. I'm sure you heard of Light of the Bhagavatam. That manuscript was printed, the photos were drawn after Prabhupada departed. So he had a plan, and he had written that script for Oriental people, especially for Japanese, who are more of nature lovers. So Prabhupada was very focused on the audience. He knew what he had to give to them, but he presented it in a way that the audience will accept. And I know you are all very intelligent devotees, you are already doing. But that is what is strategic planning. Knowing where you are, knowing where we are, knowing where we want to go, and then making a plan to get to that place where we want to go. Pretty simple concept, right? So back to the future of your zone. At the GBC College, we have 2 residentials that you know, Kontaya Prabhu shared with you, that plan. In between residentials, there are online courses. And along with online courses, we run an action learning project, an ALP. This year's project is going to be you working with your respective teams where you serve. The first thing will be that you develop a team. There'll be a session on the 14th. Tapan Mishra Prabhu will share with you how to develop your team, how to identify your team, and then develop your team. And once you have that team in place, you're going to talk about the future of your zone. You're going to create a plan for the future of your zone. So to create a plan, you will have to know where you are at. You are the best person to answer that question. You know where you are at. And then you have to think outside of the box. Where do you want to take your zone to? Where do you want to go in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road? And then create a plan to get to that goal. So that will be your action learning project with your teams. But to equip you with the tools, we're going to use a different context for the next 3 days, including next 3 days, yes, today and 3 more days. And we will have you look at the future of the Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust. How many of you have some dealings with BBT? Have had some dealings with BBT? Okay, almost everybody has had some dealings with BBT. Does the BBT face any crisis currently? We don't know. We don't want to get into that discussion. But that's a question that we need to ask ourselves. What is the future of the BBT? Where do you see the BBT 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road? What are the opportunities that are presented in the environment or the threats that are presented in the environment or by the environment? What are their strengths? What are the things that they are doing right? And if you were to take them from where they are today to that future that you envision for them, how will you bring them to that goal, to that future? So you will be working in teams. Would you like to pick your own team? Don't answer that question, please. We have saved you that effort because that can be a daunting task, trying to find a team member. So here are our teams. And as we read these team names, if your name shows up there, you need to get up and find these other Prabhus or Matajis and be with them. So Charu Chandra Prabhu from Bangladesh, Gauramani Prabhu, Europe, Parabhakti Prabhu and Radhe Shyam Prabhu. I see 2 of them sitting right here. So the other 2 Prabhus need to move here and join that team. Second team, Devaki Nandan Prabhu. I think this is the Devaki Nandan Prabhu of, is this Juhu or is it the Singapore one? Juhu? Okay, let's see. No, that's the Singapore one. That's Singapore one. Jagat Guru Gauranga Prabhu, Kavi Karna Prabhu, and Praneshwar Prabhu. So the 4 of you need to get on one table. I know you have had big lunch and you're kind of a little drowsy, but you got to make this effort, please. You need to move. Aniruddha Prabhu, sitting right over there. Devaki Nandan Prabhu from Juhu, Keshav Murari Prabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Hari Prabhu. Okay, we are assembling these teams. So I hope you remember who your team is.
So a list of your biggest frustrations when you're trying to lead others. Fire departments, police departments. Today we're going to cover a topic called situational leadership. And then the day after tomorrow and the next day, we'll be doing coaching as well. So situational leadership, this program that I'll be sharing with you today, credible leadership programs in the world today. It's not a new program. This situational leadership has been taught for the last 40 years. This particular leadership model is used by the military. It's used by the fire departments, police departments, pretty much all over the world. You'll find that every leader, you know, within every large organization, like multinational company, has to go through this program as like a mandatory thing. And there's a reason for that, because actually this model is very practical, and it's very, it's kind of simple as well, but it's very logical. So, and there's one reason why armies use it, the military use it, because it actually works, isn't it? Like you'll find that the military and the fire department, they're emergency services. So when they're involved in leadership, the leadership has to work. If the leadership doesn't work, people's lives are at stake, right? So it's a very useful model. It's normally a 3-day program. I'll be doing it in 1 day. So we're going to go quite fast. Is that okay with you all? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to try and keep it as interactive as possible as well. So going to get you involved as much as possible. First of all, what I'd like you to do is I'd just like you to kind of get a piece of paper out and a pen. Yeah, so get a pen handy. And get some paper to write some notes with as well. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to just write down a list. You know, it could be 1 or 2 words, just keywords, a list of keywords. What are your biggest frustrations that you have as a leader? And when I say as a leader, when you're kind of like asking other people to do things, when you're trying to influence people, it could be an individual or it could be team. So in other words, you have a specific goal or you have a specific task that needs to get done, right? And then you ask someone to do it, or you're trying to get someone to do it, or you're trying to get a team to do it. What is your biggest frustration involved when you're leading others? So just write down a list of, you know, 5 or 6 bullet points. I'm just going to give you a minute. Okay, you can start. So a list of your biggest frustrations when you're trying to lead others. So you have a specific job that needs to be done, and then you're trying to get them to do it, influence them, yeah. When you're a leader, yeah, when you're trying to influence someone else to do something, yeah. It could also be influencing someone above you, below you, yeah. It doesn't necessarily, leadership doesn't necessarily mean top down. It could also be, you know, left to right, up and down. Have you got 3 or 4? So just write down a few things. Okay. I just want you to go and find one person and just share one thing with one person. So find someone from a different table, not the same table as you. Just share some of your ideas with each other. Okay? Just quick fire. Don't spend too long. You can join, you can share. We have cartels. Okay, time's up. Now find another person. Stand up, find another person. Find another person now, share with another person. Find someone new. Really? Three and a half. Yeah. Yeah. For person. No. Okay, thank you. Go to one more person, and just quickly share. Find another person first. Share your idea with one more person. Change your person. Change the person, share one more time. They'll have something different. You'll have something same maybe. Yeah? They're also paying one lakh also. Yeah, for the 365 days. Okay.
I'll mention something that is no.
Okay, thank you. You can sit down. You can sit down now. Thank you very much. So did you all write a couple of things down? Yeah? Can I get a volunteer? Can I get maybe one or two volunteers from the group? Who's good at writing? Anyone good at writing on the board? Any volunteers to write on the board? There's two. It's actually quite easy to volunteer. There's a couple ways you can do it, right? Just take your hands like this. Take your hands like this. Everyone put your hands like this. Okay, now just put your hands like that. Wow, so many volunteers. Thank you. Okay, great. All right, so I think Prabhuji, I think you volunteered, and would you also like to? Yeah, great. So you can take one of those boards. One of you can take these. So they need marker pens. Can you just give them a couple marker pens? So let's get some ideas. Let's start with this table. What were some of your big frustrations? And we'll just go around like that. Just one idea, one person. We'll quickly go around the room a couple times. You can both take turns. Yeah.
Managing adolescent devotees.
Okay, we'll start with you. Managing adolescent devotees. Next one.
Depends on which group I speak to. If I speak to professionals, then my main frustration, how will I appreciate them?
How will you?
Appreciate them.
Okay, appreciating people. Okay. Next one. Yeah, so you do the first one, he'll do the second. So he's doing appreciation. You could have done the first one. Just keywords, you don't need to write the whole thing. What was the very first one you said? Managing adolescence. Okay, right. Next one.
Working with people who have different paradigms about how things should be done.
Okay, paradigms.
When someone understands the goal, what you want to do, he has the capacity, but prefer to remain in the comfort area and do his life.
So he kind of knows what the goal is, but he doesn't really want to make the effort to do it, something like that? Yeah?
He understands the importance, but he don't want really to commit.
Okay, so not committed. Not committed, okay. Great.
They don't share the priorities or vision.
Okay, so they don't share the same vision with each other, with the rest of the team?
With me.
Okay,
I want to
so you have your priority,
priority,
and they don't share that same...
Share that. Maybe. Okay. That's one of the reasons.
Okay, so there's no shared vision. Okay, great, thank you. That's you, okay.
There's not enough commitment or enthusiasm for what we're trying to accomplish, so spend more time inspiring, and then there's not enough time to actually accomplish what we're
Okay,
trying to go for?
so you spend more time kind of trying to inspire them than actually do the goal itself?
Yeah.
That takes a... Yeah, no enthusiasm, is that okay?
The difference between the older devotee, patching the difference between the older devotee and young generation.
Okay, so there's some kind of difference, and what do you mean by the difference?
Okay, I'll just tell to moderate first, okay?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay, so like, so like you have a different
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
paradigm or something like that.
I don't even know who's speaking to me.
This is Kavi Kanapura Das.
Just a second.
This is
Who is that?
Kavi Kanapura Das.
Oh, Kali Kanaprana. Sorry.
Yes, fine, Maharaj.
Oh,
I was expecting you 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, I deeply apologize for being late. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you why, but it's unexcusable. Yesterday, I hurt my back a few weeks ago, and I had some physiotherapist come yesterday and was working on my back and gave me some exercises to do early. So I didn't turn on my computer, I didn't turn on my phone, I didn't turn anything on so that I could do my exercises. And then I finally turned my phone on, and it was Girdhari Puja Devi Dasi say, Mars, where are you? I said, oh my God, it's after 10 o'clock. And so now,
Yes, sorry,
I humbly beg you for forgiveness for, my error. It's definitely my bad. I own it. And hopefully I won't make the same mistake again.
So it's okay, Maharaj. How's your back now, Maharaj? How are you feeling now?
I did all my exercises, so that's good.
Okay, Maharaj.
And it's stretching it out. They're meant to stretch out the back. I have herniated discs on the lower part of my back.
Okay.
Because about 6 years ago, I fell down the steps at His Holiness Giriraj Swami's house.
Oh, okay.
And I got injured, and every once in a while it shows back up. It's one of those things that kind of goes back and forth and back and forth.
Sorry, Maharaj. Sorry, Maharaj. Sorry for that, Maharaj.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I mean, it's not that I can't sit here and give a class on. It's just that I gotta.
Yes, Maharaj. This is the verse. It's been displayed. Now, most devotee already gone, but we few of us are here, so you can share your realization with us, Maharaj.
Sure. Let me just see. I'll just turn this on to 1633 here on my phone. 1633, and oh, what am I? Must be 1631. 6. Oh, this is good. This is a good. I remember it. I read this the other day. Okay, so I'll check out Patrivius Chakra Sindhavaya, Patichanam Pavanavya Vaishnavavyo Namo Namaha Omagana to Randasha Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumanitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurudeva Maha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Putale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Sarasakti Deve Gaudavani Pacharani Nirvasesa Sunivadi Pasatadi Sutadi Name to the Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I'll read the verse. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, whose glories and activities are pleasing to hear, at once appears on the seat of my heart, as if called for, as soon as I began to chant his holy activities. Purport, how long is it? Oh, that's not that long. The absolute personality of Godhead is not different from his transcendental name, form, pastime, and sound vibrations thereof. As soon as the pure devotee engages himself in pure devotional service of hearing and chanting and remembering the name, fame, and activities of the Lord, he at once becomes visible to the transcendental eyes of the pure devotee by reflecting him on the mirror of the heart by spiritual television. There we go, spiritual television. no mundane advertisements on spiritual television. None of that stuff telling us that you can be happy in the material world. It's all advertising the spiritual world there. Therefore, a pure devotee who is related with the Supreme Lord in loving transcendental service moment. It is a natural psychology in every individual case that a person likes to hear and enjoy his personal glories enumerated by others. That is a natural instinct. And the Lord, being also an individual personality like others, is not an exception to this psychology, because psychological characteristics visible in the individual soul are but reflections of the same psychology in the Supreme Absolute Lord. Oh, there's no Supreme there. The only difference is that the Lord is the greatest personality of all and absolute in all of his affairs. If therefore the Lord is attracted by a pure devotee's chanting of his glories, there is nothing astonishing. Since he is absolute, he appears himself in the picture of his glorification, the two things being identical. Srila Narada chants the glorification of the Lord not for his personal benefit, but because the glorifications are identical with the Lord, and Narada Muni penetrates into the presence of the Lord by transcendental chanting. Whoa, this is amazing, huh? This is totally amazing. It's been something I've been going over quite a while. You can see I'm still, you can see I'm still just finished my exercise. I'm in my jacket. But let's get into this a little bit. This is a very interesting point here about the personality of God being none different than his name. This is something that's well recorded within Srila Prabhupada's books. And not only the name of the Lord, but the form, the pastimes, the sound vibrations. And as soon as we engage ourselves in this type of hearing and chanting services, especially hearing and chanting, at once Krishna becomes visible. I have a daily WhatsApp message that goes out in the evening, our time, and it's 2 or 3 minutes, and we've been discussing this, how the Supreme Lord becomes present within his holy name, because we're in the process of understanding through the practice of chanting Hare Krishna how that actually works. And one of the ingredients for this is to understand the 10 offenses to the holy name, to understand these 10 offenses to the holy name and to abide by them. In other words, try to free ourselves from these 10 offenses to the chanting of the holy name. So step 1 is to know the 10 offenses, know what they, in other words, be able to understand them, study them. And in our WhatsApp group, we spent probably on a daily basis, probably 2 or 3 weeks just on the 10 offenses, going through the Harinam Chintamani, Bhakti Rahasya, and these books by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, explaining in detail the 10 offenses. When we get into the 10 offenses to the chanting of the holy name, we can understand that these 10 offenses aren't just while we're sitting down and chanting. These 10 offenses are meant to be part of our lives. We're meant to, like, all the 10 offenses, not to criticize Vaishnavas, not to misjudge Vaishnavas, not to consider, I can do this and get the same benefit of chanting Hare Krishna. There's so many different things where our mind may drift off to in our daily activities. And so, but we do know that, of course, it's also true in our daily activities, not to be inattentive in our daily activities. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that, because we always say, and the 10th offense is to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. That's how we recite the 10th offense. And then we say, and it's also offensive to be inattentive while chanting. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that it's due to this inattention that all the others arise from. All the other offenses arise because we become inattentive to our actions, inattentive, or we become unconscious. we do things without proper. I'm trying to go really fast because I want to make sure I say everything. Because so we actually become inattentive. Krishna conscious. Krishna conscious means conscious of Krishna at all times and not to be inattentive throughout our daily activities. And so this can actually create, what would you say, a platform. This inattention can create a platform whereby we may slip or may make the error of committing one of the 10 offenses. And the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's explained that until we come to the point of offenseless chanting, which is a real distant thing for me, to become free from this point, where there's no offense within the chanting of the holy name within my heart. My heart is actually, as Srila Prabhupada, I think, is, I don't remember where he got it from. We're meant to build like a throne for the holy name to sit on, for the Lord to sit on within our heart, like a pure space within the heart for the Lord to reside at. And so we have this ability, and until that clearing stage comes, we won't be able to relate the name of the Lord to be non-different than the Supreme Lord. This takes purification. Chaitadarpanam marjanam bhavamahani nivarpanam, that through this cleansing process, the heart becomes cleansed of all the unwanted things that are there. We can all go through the different unwanted things that are in our heart. Each and every one of us has some special little bag of tricks. I always say everybody has their little packet of Maya that they have sitting next to them all the time, like a little packet of Maya, those things which we're still a little bit attached to in the material world. And sometimes we look over at the bag, and sometimes we kind of open the bag, take a little peek, sometimes we stick our hand in it. But the idea is that we want to come to the point where we are established in true connection to the holy name. So in this purport, in this commentary here, it's described that by doing so, the Lord becomes visible to the transcendental eyes of the pure devotee. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada was asked, can you show me God? Srila Prabhupada says, do you have the eyes to see? Just like if someone says to me or says to us, can you prove to me the existence of God? The question is that question that someone asks like that, can you show me God? Can you prove to me the nature of God? Means that we're actually able to understand the proof. Do you understand? I want to make sure that that's very clear. In other words, say for example, we have a Hare Krishna day school called TKG Academy. So most of the kids are, say, the first graders. The first graders are learning 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. So now if I go in there and they're in the first grade and I tell them 3x = 9 and x is 3, and they're going to say, Mars, that's 6. They're going to say 3 and 3 is 6. I'm not telling them 3x = 9. Because they're in the elementary class, they don't have the ability to understand. And there's nothing I can do to prove it to them because they haven't gone through the mathematical studies to come to the point of learning algebra, which describes x. So in the same way, if they ask me to prove it to them, that I'll say, when you get through this adding and subtracting and dividing and multiplying, then we can go into the unknown x's and different things like this that are in a higher level of mathematics. And so in the same way, when someone says to us, show me God or prove to me God, inherent with that is their thinking that they have the ability to understand, but do they truly have the ability to understand? Srila Prabhupada would often say that, yes, I can show you God, but do you have the eyes to see? There's a qualification. There's a certain qualification that is necessary for us to see the Supreme Lord through these different experiences. So in the commentary, it's described that the pure devotee who is realized with the Lord in loving service can experience the presence of the Lord at every moment. Just like I brought this up many times, in San Francisco in 1967, 68. Oh, somebody just sent me a text. Sorry, I'll turn the sound off on my phone. There was a time when Srila Prabhupada was walking. I'm sure you've heard of Prabhupada being on Hippie Hill and the Golden Gate Park, chanting Hare Krishna to all the hippies who were spinning around and doing different things. And one of the devotees asked him, Srila Prabhupada, what is the vision of a pure devotee? What does he see? Is he seeing Krishna and the cowherd boys and the cowherd girls? Of course, it was back in the psychedelic age, so they're asking, is it like seeing like a kaleidoscope of super souls? What is the vision of the pure devotee? And Srila Prabhupada says, no, it's not like that. I think he took off his watch, but I'll use my glasses. See, just like if I come to your house and I take my glasses off and set them on the counter and I walk away, you'll say, hey, RT.SWAMI, you forgot your glasses. Now, this is just a pair of glasses, but because they're being used by me, you see them as part of me, right? Just like the glasses, they're just an ordinary pair of glasses, but because they're quote unquote mine for the temporary existence, but they're my glasses, you see me in the glasses. Or if I leave my watch, or if I leave my jacket, you'll see me in that jacket. You'll see me in my watch. You'll see me in the glasses. So in the same way, because Srila Prabhupada was explaining that because we understand that Krishna is the owner and Krishna is the controller of everything, no matter what we see it through the lens of Krishna. We see it through the lens of Krishna. And therefore, as stated in the Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, that one who is conscious of Krishna is never lost to us, or we ever lost to him. And so this is a very, very nice case. So this idea of the natural psychology of every living entity is that they like to hear themselves being glorified. This comes from Krishna as being described in this purport. His Holiness Satchidananda Maharaj gave a very, very wonderful japa, retreat in New Vrindavan, West Virginia, a couple of years ago. And we went through this idea that Krishna likes to hear this because not only does the natural psychology, just like if I start chanting the glories of somebody that one of the persons that see, I do know where is Giri Dari Puja Devi Dasi. She's such a wonderful young lady. So if I start glorifying her, she'll feel very, very good. That's the nature. It's the psychology. It's already built in because it's built into Krishna. Now, another point of Krishna is that not only does he like to hear his glories being chanted, but he understands that by someone chanting the glories of the Lord, they also purify themselves. They actually become cleansed of the residual dust that resides within the heart. And so the same psychological nature is in the individual souls because we're simply reflections of Krishna. My Vangso Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, we're all part and parcel of Krishna. And so we have a reflection, we have a nature like that. When we read about Queen Kunti in the, I think it'll be coming up in the 8th chapter. In the 8th chapter, Queen Kunti prays to Madhupati to please let my consciousness just go to you, just like the Ganges goes to the ocean. I don't want to think of anything else. Of course, Kunti was related both to both families. She had both the Kauravas and the Pandavas related to both families. And so she just wanted her consciousness to be just fixed on Krishna. And Prabhupada begins the commentary that this is pure devotional service where one's mind is not distracted to anything. But then Srila Prabhupada mentions that this doesn't mean that one gives up the finer elements of life like affection for somebody else, because this is the nature of the soul. Hankering, desires, affection, these types of things are the nature of the soul. All they have to do is be engaged in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather than for our own personal sense gratification, these things are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, and therefore they become cleansed of the contamination. So since Krishna is absolute, this is one of the things that's so cool about Krishna is absolute. In the material world, the name is always is different than the person. The substance is different than the name of something. Probably we give the example, just like if I get thirsty and I go water, 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 it's not going to quench my thirst. But in the spiritual sense, the name of God and the activities of God, the form of God, everything about him is absolute. And therefore, in the purport, is that even the picture and the glorification of the Lord, these things are identical. And Narada Muni chants the glorification of the Lord, not for his personal benefit, but because the glorifications are identical with the Lord. And Narada Muni can penetrate, what would you say, the presence of the Lord. This is one of the things that we have to understand as we progress in our chanting of the holy name. One of the things that His Holiness Sachinandana Maharaj brought up was that we all strive for attentive chanting, attentive chanting. So we have to take a look at the word as he did. He explained it. Attentive chanting means attending to the chanting. Just like if I visited your home, you would welcome me to your home, you would offer me a place to sit, you would offer me a glass of water or something like that. You would attend to my needs. And so in the same way, we attend to the need, we attend to the holy name, we offer it a clean place to sit, a proper environment, a proper mindset, a stated sankalpa. A stated sankalpa means that which I'm about to do. I'm going to, okay, I have 30 minutes. So I'm going to dedicate these 30 minutes to simply chanting the holy name of the Lord. If my mind wanders, I will struggle as much as I can to pull that my mind back into the focus of the chanting of the holy name and to experience that full experience. Narada Muni is describing here that penetrating into the presence of the Lord through the transcendental chanting. We personally, I don't have that experience 100% of. I do have experience chanting Hare Krishna over and over and over again for 40, 50 years now. But the idea is to actually penetrate into the actual essence of the holy name, which is this identical to Krishna. Even if you look at the Judeo-Christian traditions, they have their regular prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. The kingdom comes, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So they say through the holy name, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So holy is your name. It's the same as Hare Krishna. And so the idea is that the will of God can be done through the kingdom of God, and the kingdom of God can be present in the heart of anyone who sincerely and honestly chants the holy name of the Lord. And this is the what would you say, the encouraging part of Krishna consciousness is that we always have an ability to have a positive reinforcement throughout our day, throughout our years. That one of my friends, Ram Guru, she's an older Prabhupada disciple, and she said, when we're engaged in the chanting of Hare Krishna, we may not be spiritually where we want to be. Just look back and we see that I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. I may, at least now, like Satsrup Maharaj would say, prior to coming to Krishna consciousness, we didn't even know that the regulative principles were sinful. I mean, some of us had some ideas due to Judeo-Christian or Islamic or whatever religious tradition we had of sins and things like this, but we didn't understand the impact. We didn't understand the impact of these things. But in Krishna consciousness, we have the full understanding. The full understanding is available to us. In other words, the elementary school, the middle school, the high school, the undergraduate, the postgraduate, the PhD, all these things are available through the spiritual understanding of Krishna consciousness. So now I'd like to pause for a minute because I don't know how long I'm supposed to go, but I'd like to just let everybody know that I appreciate this, and I'd just like to get to know a few of you. I see some people are on the screen. I see Nataraj Das. And I see Nataraj Das. Now he's smiling. Nataraj Das, nice to meet you. And Sahadev, nice to meet you. And Salika Das, did I say that right? Salika Das, yes. And Ganga Prasad. Ganga Prasad and Radha Kund. Oh, Radha Kund. And there's one girl, Kuli, here that's named Radha, and she's going to get initiated pretty soon. So how do you give somebody that's got the name Radha Kund a spiritual name that's better than Radha Kund? This is going to be a challenge, but I've got a little bit of an idea. And Hare Krishna Africa is there, and Giridhari Priya, and Devarshi, Asamo, and Usari, Arundhati, Arundhati, and Lokadevi. It's really nice to meet everyone. It's really nice to meet everyone. And what can I give you? What can I offer you? Anything on your hearts, anything on your mind. I just blasted it because I just felt, I don't know if it was like guilt or remorse, or it was just like, I don't know, maybe a little embarrassment that I've been planning this for like several months to come and visit with all of you. And all of a sudden, on the day I'm supposed to do it, I'm doing exercises for my back. So please open your hearts and let me know what we can talk about. We just went through the purport very, very quickly. And just a few of the main points that came through. One of the points I really liked, anybody like that spiritual television? Probably, how expert he was, I mean, we have to remember this was written before he came to America. How many televisions were in India at that time? I mean, how many televisions were in America, even in the 60s? I don't remember how old I was. We had like maybe in the early 60s we got a TV. I don't remember. TVs weren't like a popular thing back then. Spiritual television. Spiritual television. So please share something with me. Share something. Let me know who you are. By sharing with me, I'll get to know who you are. And the next time when I'm on time, we'll get a chance to expand our relationships. Sahadev, I see your microphone is off, so maybe you can say a little something or ask something or present something, and we can open up the discussion a little bit. What a smile. Oh.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I am happy that some of us, our patience has been paid off. Because some of us got online expecting to see you and hear from you, and we were not seeing you, but the organizer, the host, was playing a very nice video. So we were enjoying it, and then you came on. So our patience has paid off. And we're also happy to hear that you're getting treatment for your lower back.
Yeah.
I personally have a sciatic nerve pain.
Yeah.
And so I can understand how painful it could be. Now on getting on to the text, you did mention about Srila Bhaktivinoda approach to chanting. And you did say that the root cause of all the other problems is due to inattentive chanting. And Arjuna told Krishna in Gita 6:34 that to him it's easier to control the wind than to control the mind. And then the next verse, which is 35, Krishna said, yeah, it's very difficult, but it's also doable by constant or suitable practice and detachment. So my question is, what is the suitable practices And how do we detach the mind from all other distractions? That's my first question.
Very good question. Very good
Thank you.
question. I like your smile. uh, Prabhupada gave us a proper practice, a suitable practice, by suitable practice and by detachment, because everyone is situated in Varna and Ashram. We're all situated in that, whether we know it or not. Someone is Brahminical by nature, someone's administrative by nature, someone's business by nature, someone's worker by nature, and 99.99 with a little line over it, in case you know the mathematical reason for that little line, is, I'm sure most of you have gone through that much education, will be in the Grahastha ashram. And so the suitable practice Prabhupada gave us is according to our Varna and ashram, according to our nature. And so Prabhupada, of course, most of us know he said chant 64 rounds and then went to 32 and then down to 16. That happened within just a few minutes. It wasn't like a 9-month process from going from 64 down to 16. It was just like, oh, okay. And so minimum 16, that is suitable practice for us. And following the regulative principles are a suitable practice for us. And also hearing, just like yesterday on my WhatsApp message, it was like the practice of Krishna consciousness is open to everyone. It's open to everyone and anyone can do it. And so the idea is that when the need is there to read scripture, and then apply that reading to our lives. And so the suitable practice is to chant Hare Krishna, follow regulated principles, honor prasadam. I mean, there are occasions where, if you're out on business, you may not be able to, what do you say, acquire prasadam or have prasadam with you, and you may have to eat out. Srila Prabhupada said we're not supposed to starve one time when he was in India for people that devotees are out preaching. But we honor prasadam, and then by detachment. So when you read the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it's by knowledge and detachment. So this knowledge, in other words, when we learn that we're not this material body, then we can become detached from the demands of the mind. In other words, I know that this isn't me. My mind is telling me, see, the senses are just like little information getters. Of course, that's the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and there's 5 working senses, and around them, or the mind is actually not here, but we always go like this. We're grouped about the mind, and so the senses just bring in information, and the mind is to accept and reject. And so the intelligence is supposed to discriminate according to what we're supposed to accept and reject. So we gain knowledge. That knowledge we gain helps us become detached, because we can understand that I don't want this. I mean, my senses, my mind, my senses bring it in, and according to my nature, quality, goodness, passion, and ignorance, we're all a little, like, what we say, special order mode of nature. We all have the 3 modes within us, and accordingly we have certain things that we like and certain things that we don't like. But when we can understand that this isn't me, I'm something different than this, and that if I engage myself in following the rules and regulations of the scripture, this is nice. If you get to the end of sometimes one of the favorite chapters of the devotees is the 16th chapter, where the first 4 or 5 verses are, 5 verses. The first 3 tells the divine qualities, and then Krishna finally tells Arjuna, don't worry, you're divine, you're not a demon. And then the whole demoniac section, where everybody says, oh man, that's me, oh man, that's me. And then at the end, Krishna explains that one has to follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures. This is the idea. Vedam narakashedam dvaram. There are three gates that lead to hell: lust, anger, greed. And every sane man should give them up by following the rules and regulations of the scripture, so we can detach ourselves. If we just understand, it may be just in theory. You read the introduction to the Gita, Prabhupada says that when you read the Gita, one should at least theoretically understand that Krishna is speaking, that God is speaking. And if God is speaking, then it must have some value. And so at least theoretically, we can understand, I'm not the body. We may not be able to act on that level yet. We may be able to pick and choose a few things where we're able to distinguish ourselves, what would you say, separate from this material body and refuse things. But as we become slowly more and more informed, slowly more and more, what would you say, engaged in the chanting of the holy name, the more we become detached. So those things are there. I'm going to try to make the answers a little bit slower, otherwise I'll get in trouble. But because I always think I got to go back to the next verse, to the next verse, to the next verse, and just keep on going back, kind of like the Aristotle's infinite regress, where you end up a madman. What caused this? What caused that? What caused that? And Aristotle said, if at a certain point you have to accept something as an axiomatic truth, something that is self-evidently true, and so. Yeah, the suitable practice is the general information, the general process which Srila Prabhupada has given us, and also the detachment that we learn from understanding that I'm an individual soul residing within this body, and the demands of the body, Vacha Vegam, Manasakura Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Mutara Pasta Vegam, are meant to just be tolerated. That verse from Rupa Goswami says that it doesn't say that one who is free from these things, Vacha Vegam, Manaso, Kruda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Mutara, Pasta Vegam, these 6 different activities, it doesn't say one who doesn't have them. It just says one who can tolerate them becomes a Goswami, or is known as a Swami or Goswami, and is capable of instructing people all around the world. In other words, becoming guru, becoming teacher. And so, yeah, it's a simple thing, but because we're in a complicated material world, we get ourselves in a situation sometimes. I have to admit. But it's a wonderful question, because it's easy to miss. And sometimes we don't see the trees because of the forest, or sometimes we don't see the forest because of the trees. And we really, really want to have a full understanding of how to slowly detach ourselves. And because in the Gita, just like you're talking from the 6th chapter, so Sandishtayena Yukto Yoga Nirnita Chetasa, how that one should practice yoga with firm determination and faith and not becoming influenced by the mind. And then the next verse is Shanai, gradually, step by step. So this gradual, I think the last time I was supposed to speak, one of my friend's parents passed away and I had to attend a funeral ceremony. And so I had my close friend, Brahmatirtha. He came and gave class to this group, I think it was. Bob Cohen, perfect question, perfect answer. Well, he's my best friend. And so he looked it up one time. On folio, how many times Prabhupada said gradually, step by step, and it was like hundreds. And it's not like it's going to happen like that. Of course, it can happen like that, but we have to be prepared for the long haul. Thank you, Sahadev. Thank you very much. Anyone else have something to share with us? Giridhari Priya, my dear Giridhari. Giridhari Puja. I always call her Giridhari Priya. I don't know why. Giridhari Puja, who has been so, what would you say, softly persistent. Is that a way to describe Giridhari Puja? Softly persistent. She was very soft with me, but very persistent. Mars, please come and give class. Please come and give class. And through her very, very wonderful nature, I was able to be present. Hare Krishna, Africa, were you going to say something? I thought your little thing light up.
100% Prabhu wants to ask a question.
For some reason, you're a little far away.
The microphone.
His Grace Ganga Prasad Prabhu wants to ask you a question, Maharaj. Ganga Prasad Prabhu.
Krishna Maharaj, obeisance to Sri Guranga, Krishna Prabhupada. Thank you very much for making it for the lecture platform. We're grateful. The purport of the text we read at the beginning, Prabhupada mentioned as soon as a devotee engages himself in the pure devotional service of hearing, chanting, and remembering the name, fame, and habits of the Lord, that become visible to the transcendental eyes of the pure devotee by reflecting himself. By spiritual television, that is the question I want to give some explanation on. Mirror of the heart by spiritual television. Am I audible? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Maharaj, please unmute yourself.
Prabhu, we are hearing you, but the line is breaking.
Was I audible?
For some reason, Maharaj, we can't hear you. I see you speaking, but we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, good.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, good, good, good. I couldn't hear Ganga Prasad. It was like his internet seemed to be fluctuating. Could you understand Ganga Prasad?
Can you hear me? Can you hear now, Maharaj?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? My
Yes,
question
right.
is a little explanation for understanding on the statement in Prabhupada's purport, reflecting himself on the mirror of the heart by spiritual television.
Yes. And the mirror of the heart by spiritual television. Yes, okay.
I need a little explanation.
Okay. Just like if you read the introduction, of course, the last chapter of the Gita, at the very end, Sanjay, in the beginning, Dhritarashtra, he asked Sanjaya. Sanjaya was a disciple of Vyasadeva, and through the mercy or through the potency of Vyasadeva, Sanjay was able to envision the entire battle of Kurukshetra and all the words that were spoken by Krishna and Arjuna through the heart. Through the heart. And in the same way, through the heart, through this idea of spiritual television. Yeah, I'm gonna open it up here. So as soon as a pure devotee engages himself in pure devotional service, there's always the qualification here. There's a qualifier. The pure devotional service of hearing, chanting, and remembering the name, fame, activities of the Lord at once becomes visible to the transcendental eyes of the pure devotee by reflecting himself. Himself is Krishna because it's capitalized on the mirror of the heart by spiritual television. So there's two components here. It's our ability to be engaged in the pure devotional service of the Lord. That's the qualification, so that the television set is receptive. In other words, just like right now, there's radio waves, like radio station waves going on through here. There's TV, TV waves going through. There's internet things going through. But if I have my computer hooked up, I can't connect. I can't connect, and so there's the need to be a proper recipient of the ability to receive the information. I have to have that qualification. The Lord is always emanating spirit transcendental knowledge. We just have to become the recipient, be able to tune in our hearts through the process of the pure devotional service. And as the heart becomes clearer, as the heart becomes purified, we slowly get a clearer and clearer or deeper and deeper understanding of our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So it works like, Prabhupada would give that analogy, it works like, what would you say, the ability for us to be the proper reciprocal. In other words, the proper instrument to hear that information. So that qualification is that we cleanse the heart, and it's incumbent upon us to, what would you say, develop that purity of heart, which takes time, but utsahan nishtaya daya tat karma pravartanam, that we remain enthusiastic, we remain confident or determined, and we remain patient in our practices of spiritual life. There's a nice verse. Let me just remember, where is this one at? This one is, 625 purport, where Prabhupada explains, and he quotes that verse, Utsahan nishtaya daya tat karma, that enthusiasm, enthusiasm, determination, and sometimes it's translated as confidence. And the other thing is enthusiasm, confidence, your determination, and patience have to be there. And through that, so Prabhupada said that one should execute the practice of Krishna consciousness and not be discouraged. If there's a little delay in this process. There may be a little delay in the process. We may not be advancing as quickly as we would like to be advancing. We may be engaged in activities which are not up to the standard that we wish to be up to, but if we remain enthusiastic, we remain confident that this process of Krishna consciousness can avail to us everything that we aspire for. There's one nice place I was reading, I think it was Nectar of Devotion the other day, or the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it explains that all the desires that we have within the heart will be satiated, will be fulfilled through the practices of Krishna consciousness. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a new car and a perfect spouse and a perfect house and a perfect family and a perfect thing, but anything that's in the heart will be fulfilled by the practice of Krishna consciousness. And if we have the enthusiasm to engage in this process through spiritual understanding, that enthusiasm takes a good amount of understanding and confidence and determination. Dridhavrata. This Dridhavrata means strong determination. And then patience. Patience is the 7th feminine quality that's given in the 34th verse of the 10th chapter. And it's considered an opulence to be patient. To actually acknowledge that, okay, I have gotten myself in a little bit of Maya. I've gotten myself into this environment, and I have to remove myself from this environment. So that's how the spiritual television works. It's just like tuning in, just like if you don't have the cable or if you don't have the antenna, and if you don't have the television set, we have the television set. We just have to tune it up. We just have to learn how to turn it on. And I don't even know how they work nowadays. They're so fancy. When I was a kid, you turn it on and you had to turn up the volume and click, 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 click the channel. But and then you bring it. Then we used to have these antennas, and you have to move the antennas this way, that way to get a clear picture. And so in the same way, we have to adjust. We have to focus in on our spiritual practices, and then that spiritual television will come right into the heart. We'll actually see Krishna face to face.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. I'm grateful.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. It's so intriguing, spiritual television, huh? Without any nonsense advertising, telling you that if you use this type of soap, then you're going to get the girl, or you use this kind of soap, you're going to get the guy, and they lie. They cheat us every time. Something else?
Does anybody else have any question for Maharaj?
The whole Bhagavad Gita was questions and answers. Doubts. Any doubts about Krishna consciousness? Anything that makes you feel...
Maharaj, I think some people might be thinking of what to ask. Before then, I have one question for you, Maharaj. I read a little bit about you online, and it was interesting how devotees, you were recounting how you first met devotees, and you were saying you were at home and devotees came to ask you to pick a few flowers. You allowed them to pick some flowers. By the time you came back, they had taken every flower. But
yeah,
it's
that was Radha Damodar, Vishnu John. The door's still open.
Yeah.
And if you want the chair, take a chair, please. So what happened is at that point, I don't know, I was a musician at that time, and I got home from a show maybe 6 o'clock in the morning and went to sleep, and like at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, somebody knocks on my door, and I'm like, and the guy has he has a pink, I think this is like, mine's a little more yellowy saffron. He was like pink shirt, pink jacket, pink hat, pink pants, pink socks, pink shoes. Everything on this guy was pink, and he had tilak on, but I didn't. I mean, I was, and so and I had taken flower seeds and sprinkled them all over my yard, and just watered them, just so there'd be a bunch of flowers in my yard. And he said, "Can I have some flowers?" And I said, "Yeah, just take what you want." And I went back to sleep. And about 15 minutes later, he knocked on my door again. I was tired, I only slept a couple of hours. He says, "Can I have a knife?" And I remember, you want a knife? I look at him and I say, but I had I don't know if you know what a Great Dane dog is. They're like a horse. This dog weighed about 160 pounds. It was a spaced out dog, but it was very protective of me. And I thought, dude, I just said, I gave him a knife and I said, do me one favor, just don't knock on the door again. Just put the knife in the mailbox when you're done. So then I woke up around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, cleaned up, walked out of the door to go to the carnival, and all the flowers were out of my yard. He took them all. And so I went to the fair and I saw Vishnu John singing, but I was in I politely say it, an alterated state of consciousness by that time of the day. By the time I got there, I was a little bit, I won't talk about exactly what it was, but I wasn't fully conscious of anything at that point of the day. And the boy came up and said, hey, you remember me? Here's some insight. I said, look, man, whatever's mine is yours, whatever yours is mine. It's kind of my body philosophy. I said, don't worry about it. I said, you don't owe me anything for the flowers, just do this, whatever. And then I heard Vishnu John's end the song and he started giving the meaning. And because I was a musician, I thought, yeah, songs, they have some meaning, but what is the real meaning to the meaning and the meaning to the meaning's meaning? And I just walked away. Didn't even know they were Hare Krishnas. No connection, that this is something unusual. And then it was might have been 72, 73, then 1975, I opened up one of Prabhupada's books. I just happened to come across a Prabhupada book and it said, animals go on 4 legs, they eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Human beings go on 4 wheels. What's the difference? Of course, all Americans think they know everything. It's a typical American thinking I knew everything. And I started thinking, wait a second, what does that mean? And I read it again. I said, 4 animals go on 4 legs, they eat, sleep, and humans go on 4 wheels. What's the difference? So I thought, I can't figure out what is the difference. So then Prabhupada, I read the next time, Prabhupada says there is no difference. One is polished and one is unpolished. Human life is not meant just to be a polished animal. It's meant to understand our relationship with God. And I immediately thought, uh-oh, I just found something that I gotta investigate this. It was just like a random occurrence, total random occurrence. So I was talking to His Grace Burjan Prabhu. I don't know if you have the good fortune to know Burjan Prabhu. Maybe I could introduce him to Giridhari Puja. He's in Australia. It's 2 o'clock in the morning for him. So I don't know if he would have the same schedule to be able to come on. But I told him, I said, look, Radhanath Maharaj hitchhiked all the way across the world to find a guru. Giriraj Swami was ready to drop out of his Ivy League school. His father convinced him to stay till one more semester. He's ready to go. And then Prabhupada came to his campus and gave a class and he joined right away. All these people are doing these things. And I'm sitting in the most remote place of America. It's North Dakota. I mean, you don't want to take birth in North Dakota. You take birth anywhere in the world, but don't take. I mean, one time it was 98 below 0 Fahrenheit, which is 72 degrees below 0 centigrade. I had a brand new car and the battery exploded on my car. It got so cold. And I just, not a spiritual searcher, but, aware of certain things. And then to kind of like dry grass, growing up in that remote place, kind of like dry grass. And then that little lighter, Prabhupada put the flame on me. And next thing you know, a couple months later, I'm living in the temple chanting Hare Krishna. So that's my story. Everybody has their story. So true, yeah. I gave all the flowers and Radha Damodar enjoyed those flowers and they bestowed their blessings on me. So a few years later, I could get the mercy of Srila Prabhupada's instructions.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for sharing this amazing story with us.
Well, sometime I'll tell you the story about the first time I went to the Hare Krishna and then you have to decide, is this person crazy or is this person really sincere? Because it's one of the two, but it's about an hour-long story. Maybe sometime we can go through it, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's recorded somewhere. I don't know exactly how the SoundCloud works, but it's recorded somewhere. It's recorded in Hungary because Shiva Ram Maharaj was my first temple president.
Okay.
And I remember I went to Hungary one time and I told him the story. I don't know if you know Shiva Ram Maharaj. He's kind of like a sober person. He was
Yes,
laying on the
I
floor.
know him.
Yeah, Shiva Ram Maharaj was laying on the floor holding his stomach. He said, no. So thank you all for kindly inviting me. And thank you all for being so patient to wait. Like you waited like 40 minutes for me to remember that I had this class today. What did I mean, I know I'm not this body. I'm not meant to be embarrassed, but I do apologize for the thoughtlessness. I mean, I should have wrote it down. I mean, I knew it. I had it set on my phone to ring on the calendar, but I didn't set it on the alarm. But my phone was turned off, so it wouldn't ring. That was the reason. And so next time when Giridhari Puja invites me, I'll set my alarm clock on that's next to my desk. And so that one will go off, even if my phone's not on. And hopefully we'll get to meet.
Well, thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj. And we truly understand because health first, and you had to take care of your health. So that, and on top of that, with Burjan Prabhu, we'll be more than happy to have him speak on our platform. So if you can arrange that for us, we will really appreciate it.
I'll send him a message and I'll send Giridhari Puja a message and we'll see what, I mean, he's really busy. He does a lot of things, but I think he would like this. This would be a nice platform. And next time I'll make sure that I send out the invite to all the people that are on my mailing list and stuff like that. And if any of you would like to receive my daily WhatsApp message it's basically kind of like on Japa, but it's kind of this or that. You can send your phone numbers to Giridhari Puja. Giridhari Puja, would you mind if they send their phone numbers to you and then you can WhatsApp them to me and I can put them on the list? If that's okay, Giridhari Puja.
It's okay by me, Guru.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so Giridhari Puja, you can leave your message so that we can send our telephone numbers to you so we can receive them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Somehow or another it'll work. Somehow or another. We have to have faith in Krishna. Okay, everyone.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Assembled devotees, you can all unmute yourself and then we chant.
Yeah, let me see. I want to see everybody what they. Radhakunda, Hare Krishna.
Turn on your videos and your mics. So we chant Hare Krishna.
Devarshi, yeah. Oh, Loka Devi.
Yes, done. Hold the box and take left hand, hold them.
Okay, everyone. Look at that little one.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Who's that little one, Radha? Who's that little angel next to Radhakunda?
This is
little angel.
Nandini.
Look at that little angel. That little angel.
Nandini.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Huh?
Thank you all.
You know, Great Border. That is down already now. Okay, you never on the light here. Okay, raise the light. Hey, this is not the smoke now. Wow.